later in the year. Chris, your windows are so dark now. You used to have so much more light.
I had to put my headphones in. You still hear me?
Kinda.
Yeah, a little bit soft on the volume.
Oh, bollocks. That should be better. We'll work on it as we go.
Yep.
There we go. That's perfect.
Cool.
It is definitely getting darker.
Yeah, shitty time of year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that Shane thinks it's a shitty time of year. I think Shane thinks it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, great win for him
Yeah.
at the World 8-Ball. He's always been kind of an 8-ball guy. That's what he grew up with. So he played, 7-footers,
VNEA pool
VNEA,
tables, baby.
Yeah.
VNEA pool leagues.
and those Valley tables back in his day. And, he likes it. It was a great event. Good field. It was too bad so many Asians were missing. But I don't know how excited the Asians get about 8-ball anyways. But
Yeah.
the Europeans played a lot. I mean, they played in the European Championship every year, right? 8-ball.
Yeah.
So, it was a good event. Great run from him.
Mike, as a historian of the game,
75,000 first prize. That was a nice payday for him.
Yeah. As a historian of the game, and obviously we all know Shane's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame very soon. Where do you think this ranks in his pantheon of titles?
I think personally to him, if you ask him, it's probably I would say his World 9-Ball, his 5 US Opens, and 2018 Mosconi Cup would probably be his top 7. So I would say this would be 8th. But he would probably rank it higher from personal satisfaction. Maybe he'd rank the first US Open, in the World 9-Ball, and then maybe the World 8-Ball. If you were talking to him, I think as far as measuring his.
Okay, all right. No, I mean to him. I guess I agree with you there.
To him, probably top 3 or 4 for sure.
Yeah, I guess I think that you have a little bit low. I think it's still. I think it's got to be. I mean, it's definitely above the U.S. Open, right? Or the Mosconi Cup. Sorry. I mean, how can you put the 2018?
They hadn't won in 9 years, and he made the winning combination on a 9-ball. I think it was a pretty big moment for him.
Well, sure, but he hasn't. I mean, his favorite game has always been 8-ball, and he's never won a world championship in the World 8-Ball. I mean,
well, how many World 8-Balls have there been since he started playing? Like 6?
About 7, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, and realistically, if there was a World 8-Ball tour, it would be more significant. But
it's kind of
Albin said it's the first time he's played 8-ball since 2017. So you got all these great pool players who are out there, and they did not spend weeks practicing for the World 8-Ball Championship. No pool player did. They've been playing 9-ball and 10-ball, so they just went in there, used their knowledge and their existing skills to play an 8-ball tournament. They still play at a phenomenal level, but let's face it, it's kind of a one-off event. So from that standpoint, I don't give it as much significance.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
Sounds kind of harsh, I'm sure, but
no, I agree. I agree with Mike. It's a big, obviously, a world title's massive for anyone, and because he went so long waiting for one, I'm sure getting another one over the line, 12, 18 months after his fest, it'll be pretty sweet. And I think, the World 10-Ball's coming up, in 6 months' time or something?
Yeah.
He'll be so hungry for that, to do the triple crown. He'll be hungry for that.
Well, I know that there's some questions that need to be answered still on that, because I think, what is it, March 1st, I believe, is that the WPA ban goes into effect. It is. No, I think it's a semi, or I think it's the day before. I think the finals.
It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference.
Why?
The deadline is if you play in a non-sanctioned event after March 1st, you're banned. Well, if it's March 2nd and he's in the final of the World 10-Ball, he's still playing in a sanctioned event. So he hasn't played in a non-sanctioned event until that event's over. And he goes somewhere else. So it doesn't matter. If that event March 5th, it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Well, we assume that Matchroom isn't going to do any sort of thing.
have a tournament on March 1st.
No, well, I mean, if WPA is going to be petty about it, maybe Matchroom wants to decide that they're going to do it too.
Say the same thing, you mean?
And what? Yeah. Say that he can't play in it?
Yeah, but obviously they don't need to. Matchroom don't need to do that now. Even if they were planning to do it, the WPA have done it for them. So jobs are good.
I don't know that they would do that. Yeah. So
well, we didn't know that WPA would do it either. I hope not. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess. Yeah. So Shane Van Boening wins over Sanjin Pelovanovic. Wojtek Szewczak and Max Lechner are your semifinalists. Your quarterfinalists include Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, Eklund Kachi, Mario He, and Hichikata Hayato. I'm really good at Asian
you'll clean
names.
it up. Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, I think, I watched a fair amount. I found it interesting. It's not my favorite game. I like watching the nuance of it and breaking up little clusters. But these guys are so good that the first guy at the table ran out.
Yeah.
Period. If you broke and made a ball, you ran out. If you broke and didn't make a ball, he ran out. And after a while, I got kind of tired of that. But I did think watching it that Szewczak was the second best player in the tournament. I thought that he was going to beat Shane. I thought he really played.
He got the first scoring opportunity. He looked
like the couple matches I saw him play, he looked like he really knows how to play 8-ball, as opposed to a 9-ball player who's just playing a game they never play.
Yeah. I mean, Wojtek, he had the first scoring opportunity at Hill.
Yeah, he did.
He shot the ball right. I mean, I haven't talked to him about it. I have to assume that he choked a little bit. Maybe he rushed it a little bit. I mean, that 30-second shot clock in 8-ball. We saw it with Jeremy too, right? The Mosconi Cup that he ended up having to play in. He got the first scoring opportunity. I think he was down 4-0 to David, gets it back Hill. Gets the first scoring opportunity and asks to have the ball cleaned. To this day, it has nothing to do with the cue ball. I don't think it has anything to do with the cue ball. I think he just thought that was going to gain him a little bit more time to collect himself and get ready for what he was about to do. He was just mentally preparing himself. And 30-second shot clock in 8-ball. Maybe you can argue it's a little bit short. I don't think it was needed all that.
It was a long angle, tough shot to a corner. I mean, it's one that he makes most of the time, but it's not one that he can't miss. So I don't know if nerves got him. He looked like he was playing pretty nerveless through the whole thing. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. But yeah,
I know Wojtek quite well, obviously, and he said that he is crazy nervous all the time. He said that he has really bad problems with his nerves, which is crazy to see.
Well, as a pool player.
well, I mean, you never stop being nervous. I mean, I get asked a lot especially when I'm giving lessons or something. How do you stop being nervous? And I give the same answer every single time to everybody who's trying to stop being nervous. You can either stop caring or you can die.
Yeah,
those are your options. You're going to be nervous.
You don't want to stop being nervous. It's extra energy for you, isn't it?
Yeah, you just have to know how to channel it.
Yeah. That's what people struggle with. I definitely still struggle with it now, channeling it in the right way. Some days I don't care, and I know those are the days where I'm not going to play well. But then if you talk to other,
I saw that at the U.S. Open.
What days that I didn't care?
Yeah, you didn't care the entire U.S. Open, I think.
But yeah, nerves are a good thing generally.
Yeah,
might have been a little sick though, I guess, huh?
Yeah, maybe. The only thing I'd say about that tournament, the World 8-Ball, is I'd like to see it alternate break.
It basically was.
Which bit?
The alternate break. I mean, nobody made a ball in the break. I mean, you're making a ball in the break like 1 out of every 15 times, it seemed like. So, I mean,
there
effectively it was.
No, there were some matches at the beginning where people were running out loads of racks.
Yeah.
You just don't want to see that. You want to see it back and forth. If I break and run, I want the pressure to go onto the other guy. You want to see that back and forth.
So what's different between 9-ball and 8-ball? Or do you mean do you want to see alternate the break for 9-ball too?
No. No, I like the win. I like the winner break format. The thing with 8-ball is when you break, you're going to have 6 or 7 options laid out in front of you. In 9-ball, you've got one ball to go at. That's kind of the difference.
Yeah,
So with 8-ball,
interesting.
there's too many options, especially on the tables with the big pockets.
Yeah.
There's too many options, and people are going to run out at such a higher percentage rate than what they are at 9-ball or 10-ball. So
I think that's why I like the semifinals and the final so much. Is I remember Shane missing at least 3 balls that probably shouldn't have been missed. Sanjin missed, I believe, 2 balls that probably shouldn't have been missed.
You're right. I think you're right.
There were plenty of missed balls in the finals, and you could chalk it up to I guess nerves. You're playing for a world championship. Can you play perfect? Yeah. Is it going to be a lot harder to? There were plenty of missed balls in the finals of that, and plenty of missed shapes and positions.
Yeah, I think that's more because nobody played the best, but
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was a good event. Good event for Sanjin coming off of a semifinal in Hanoi. Good to see him, kind of hitting a groove. I mean, we've been waiting for that. I'd love to see him turn the corner next year and be in a couple of more finals and win a title. I mean, I think he looks more comfortable in those situations than he did a year or 2 ago, which makes sense. He's 22. And so when he was 20, he was probably a little more nervous getting in those situations for the first time. But as he's out there more and he's gaining more experience, you can tell that he's just more comfortable at the table. So I think we're going to be able to start seeing him play his full game now because he's got that level of confidence.
I see the same thing with Alexa as well. Mikkel,
no doubt about it.
They're really close friends. So it makes you wonder, they're practicing a lot, are they spurring each other on, whatever it is, they're both coming through at the same time at a really equal pace.
Yeah, it's kind of a Francisco and David, situation where you got your best friend with you and you're both pushing each other. You can both play at a high level and you're both pushing each other to learn from these experiences. So, I love watching Alexa play. Love watching that kid play.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, were there any standouts? I mean, Sanjin has made it to the finals of a couple of events now. I think he made the finals of the Premier League pool.
Yeah, you're right.
A couple, was it this last year? I think maybe
last year. Yeah.
And he's had plenty of deep runs. I mean, I guess maybe it's just a matter of breaking through for him. These stages are not easy. I mean, even Jason Shaw, I mean, he just now basically won his first Matchroom event, Hanoi Open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how long has he been a top player in the world? They're not easy events to win. I mean, you watch.
No, it's super tough to win on this tour.
You watch Albin, and obviously this isn't a Matchroom event, but you watch FSR and Albin and kind of the run that they had, and they almost start making it look easy. But these events with this many top players, it's just insane how tough it is to actually win these things.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. I just seen a comment from Ryan Harmsen. Ryan, do you mean Shane getting skids all the time or everybody? Because watching Shane getting skids was starting to really piss me off. I don't know why he's still using that chalk. Surely Teom or somebody has offered him 10K just to swap to their chalk or 20K, whatever it is. And he's
I've never seen another event where he's done it like that.
But he's still playing with the old chalk though, isn't he? The old rubbish chalk.
Yeah,
I will say it is kind of a
shock he's using. It hasn't stopped him in any of the other tournaments. Is what I'm saying. If every tournament he was doing this, but there's must have been something about the humidity, temperature, the shine on the balls, whatever, that was causing more than he would normally get. Because I've never seen him do that as often as he did in that match.
And I don't know the answer to this. Maybe one of you two do. I know that Sanjin is sponsored by Kamui. Is he using Kamui chalk?
Sanjin?
Because Kamui chalk is absolutely deadly for skids. I mean, that oil-based chalk, it just sticks to the cue ball and the balls like crazy. I mean, I don't know what kind of chalk.
Shane uses Masters, right?
Yeah,
Shane does,
yeah. But the Masters chalk, it's dirty and it gets stuck to the cue ball often, and the other balls, but it wipes off very easily. It's just that chalk. It just wipes off. But the Kamui, like, it's a more oily based chalk. You can wipe it off, but it's still oily. There's a little bit of like oil that's left on the balls that you just can't get it off completely without actually like putting it through a ball washer.
Well, the thing is with the Predator chalk and the Teom chalk, you know, it barely leaves any marks. It doesn't leave anything on the table, doesn't leave anything in the cue ball, nothing goes.
The new Predator chalk, because the old Predator chalk was worse than Master.
But it almost cost him. You know, it really could have cost him.
Well, it did cost him one match. It did cost him one game. It probably should have cost him two. I don't see how that ball skids as bad as it does into the side pocket.
Yeah,
and he makes it and still gets out far enough for the 8-ball. That was incredible.
Yeah, but it could have cost him the whole thing. It could have cost him 30 or 40 grand. I don't know what second place got, but yeah, it could have cost him that.
Well, I think Shane would give up $75,000 to win a World 8-ball.
I'm not saying that.
I think the title part of
it. Would you still use crack chalk?
I'm just saying, like when you say like it almost cost him 40 grand or whatever. I don't think he cares about that. I think he cares about the title of the World 8-ball champion.
Well, yeah, okay. Say both then. Say both.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shane loves money. I think he was thinking a lot about the 40 grand. Tell you the truth.
Well, it'd be interesting. Honestly, that'd be an interesting question. Would you trade the 40,000 for the 8-ball for the World 8-ball championship?
I mean, yeah, you probably, yeah. I mean, he gunned to his head, he probably would. But would you, you know, I'd just love to ask him why he's still using that crappy old chalk. I'd love to, because somebody must have offered him money to start playing with Teom or another.
It's got to be an old school thing. I mean, it's got to be an old school thing. He just doesn't think that he needs it.
Or, you know, there's a couple of the snooker players are still using the old chalk. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan is one of them. Yeah, still using the triangle, which is made by the same company as Masters chalk. It's the same chalk. Tweeting, yeah.
Don't go bad mouthing one of my longest advertisers and best friends.
I'll tell you this. I've been using. Before I switched to the V10, I used triangle. I thought triangle was the best chalk on the market.
I did. I used it for years until like last year or something.
I still love it. It's just messy, but it's still amazing chalk. I think it's the best triangle chalk. I think is the best chalk on the market besides, obviously, any of the Toms.
But a couple of the snooker players are still using the old chalk just to annoy the players that have switched. Just to get in their head a little bit.
Ronnie, what does Ronnie use?
He's still using triangle because it annoys some of the other players.
Yeah.
So he did an interview with Stephen Hendry a while ago, and he talks about it. And he's just, you know, if it just puts a little bit of something in their head, they might get scared because I'm using this chalk. You know, it's brutal.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah, but I thought the World 8-ball was a good event. I thought that the you know, I'm not going to get into the commentating, but I thought that the event was well run. It looked nice in there.
What was wrong with the commentary?
I'm done already. I just said I'm not going to talk about the commentary.
Who was the British guy? Who was the other British guy? I didn't.
You know what? Honestly, I watched about half of one match and half of another, and had no volume on for the rest of the event. The rest of the matches that I watched, so it could have been you two talking, and I wouldn't want to insult you, but I didn't listen.
So what I'm gathering is you get one taste of the guy that is on LSD, and now that's all you want. Is it because he wasn't talking about the Force, or like?
No, it was boring.
Oh well.
The most
lifeless I can get along with that. Yeah, I can get. I mean, Albin is. I was okay with Albin in the box, but he is very dry.
Anybody by name because I don't know who was. But I listened to a couple of matches, and I was like, I was starting to pass out, and I thought, well, I'm better off just watching these on my own with music on in the background.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the commentary was. I like Tim DeRuyter in the comments.
Tim's pretty good. Yeah.
I think he's pretty good. Yeah.
But the bar's been set with JJ and Boise and all them lot now. Isn't it? I mean, anybody else is just not the same.
Yeah, Predators.
Pepsi, that was his name. Pepsi.
Got to have Pepsi.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
In Qatar.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was a good event, well-run event. I love, seeing all the different. I love an event where they have the top women, the top men, the top juniors all playing at the same time.
That is amazing.
That's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a really good job of sprinkling that in. I thought it was cool that they did all the finals on the last day. I know it's a long day, but I would have loved to have seen all the divisions get their medals at the same time, all on the same stage. Would have been really cool to see how
They
those
didn't do that?
juniors with the top pros. No, I think they did the juniors together, and then later on they did the men.
Oh,
and the women.
okay.
They did the men and the women's together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, like John said, they announced Cheska is a World 8-ball champion too, which whatever. It's a small little hiccup, but I don't think there's probably 400 people that actually saw that by then.
I thought they did a nice job with marketing during the event, with all the little reels they were throwing out there, little interviews they were throwing out there. I saw they did, before the junior final, they had Sophia Mass interviewing Adrian Prasad and them asking each other, what advice would you give me before the final? Sophia asked Adrian that, and then Adrian took the mic and he asked Sophia that. I thought that was a really clever, cool, interesting thing. And I saw a lot of those little snippets during this event that was really a lot better than what I've seen out of the productions in the past. So that was good to see.
Yeah, they're making strides forward. It's good. It's
try new things, try different things, be fun, be creative. All good.
So, Mike, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be the last 8-ball World Championship?
No,
as we know it. Who's going to play next year? Who's going to play?
There'll be a lot of Polish players and German players and Asian players based. Although it was interesting that there's all these bans on Asian players from playing a non-sanctioned event, but none of the Asian players were at the World 8-ball.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting, wasn't it?
There were like 2 Changs, and that was about it, as far as the men go. That was really interesting to me. But they'll hold the World 8-ball, and whoever can get away with playing it will play in it, and they'll have a world champion. I mean, it's the way it runs. Now, will they do it every year? I don't know, because there's probably been 8 in the last 20 years or 15 years. So, will Predator continue to, promote World 8-ball? I hope so. It's good. It's fun to see these different disciplines with the top players.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see Eklund back out there.
Yeah,
playing well.
Yeah, and he started to make a nice run. I would have been really interested to see what would have happened if he wins that.
I would not have, because that would have made me sad.
Why?
Because I'm a Wojtek lover. He's my favorite
He
player.
didn't win either, so now you're sad?
Well, yeah, but Eklund lost to Wojtek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Wojtek was the one that knocked him out.
Okay. But yeah, if he'd have won that event, Team Europe would have thrown a real interesting dynamic into picking the wild cards.
Well, I think if Kachi doesn't get picked, I think there's something not right about the whole thing.
Well, I think it's really interesting. I mean, to me, the telltale sign was Ralph Eckert wasn't in Austria. He doesn't live that far away, but he wasn't there to watch Kachi play, which I thought if he was there, testing to see how he looked, see how comfortable he was at table, things like that, then it would have given me some reason to hope, but he wasn't there. And to me, that told me everything I needed to know.
Well, do we want to transition into this?
Let's get back into this after we talk about the women. I mean, the women and the juniors, I think, deserves call out for
absolutely.
World Championships. The World 10 ball, I thought was, I'd have to look back at some, but man, what a field that was for the women's World 10 ball. Having the Chinese back into it, having Yu Han in there and Xiaoxing Pan in there and Siming Chen in there. I was like, wow, this is freaking, this is a top women's event on steroids here.
Yeah. I mean, and good for the European ladies. I mean, obviously it was just Allison and Kelly that made it into the semifinals, but actually they're the only people that made it into the quarters too. But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about having just an absolute stacked field. There were basically, I mean, the European women have been kind of dominating the pool scene in the last 3 years since COVID. With Pia Filler, Kristina Zlateva, Margaret Fafalova, Kristina Tkach, and then obviously Allison and Kelly.
Well, you've seen a lot of Zhu Chen Wei and Che Yu Chao.
Yeah, Wei Su Chen,
winning when those two winning plenty of events. But yeah, overall, the European women, when you look at the final 8 in every event, it's
like 6.
The 2 Asians that are in the field and 6 Europeans. right?
Yeah.
So
but
they're playing some great pool.
yeah,
And those Europeans were still there. They still made it into the final 16, but like I said, only 2 of them made it through the final 16.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
was a
1, 2, 3.
stacked Asian field this time. When you had the 3 or 4 Chinese players into it, it's like, okay, there's going to be a little change at the top.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, there was in the 8 matches of the final 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 European women were eliminated there.
Yeah, well, they got there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good on them. Yeah, it was a great event. And Cheska, I was so happy to see her win a big international title. I mean, she's been such a strong player. I don't remember what year it was I first saw her when she played the U.S. Open in Norfolk. So it must have been 17 or 18 because it was not the international yet, I don't think. And you could tell then that she was a freaking monster. She was, and she flew around the table. I just kept waiting for her to be the next big thing. And I don't think she's traveled a ton outside of Asia to play, but I think she's won SEA Games gold 3 or 4 times representing the Philippines. But on this big international stage against top Europeans and Americans and other Asians, it's great to see her win because she's so talented.
Yeah. If you can win those SEA Games with those fields.
Yeah.
You can play. You can play for sure.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, she's fun to watch. There's no doubt about it. It was such a different dynamic in the final. Her against Yuhan is like polar opposites at the table.
Yeah.
Complete opposites at the table. I mean, and I kept waiting for Yuhan to make her charge, and try to force Cheska into a couple of mistakes because Cheska can make mistakes given how aggressively she plays.
Yeah.
But she held it together and she was just motoring through racks. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of insert Chinese player here and insert Filipino player here, and you can kind of that's kind of true no matter what. The Filipino women tend to be the Filipino players just in general, the men and women, they tend to be very eccentric. Kind of.
More
mechanics be damned, and
swing this ball around the table and see what happens.
And the Chinese players tend to just be robots, regardless if they're men or women.
Yeah.
But, no, I think it's pretty cool to still, every single time we get to see Allison and Kelly play, I just feel like it's just a privilege and an honor. As much as I hated Tom Brady and. Even like a Roger Federer, it's like you see somebody who's been so great for so long, and every time you watch them, it's just like a privilege.
Yeah.
I miss being able to watch more of Tiger Woods. You don't really realize what you miss out on until you no longer have it to watch.
Right.
So, it's just a privilege to be able to watch those two play.
Yeah, they both made the Final Four, which was amazing. And Allison had Cheska buried. Let her slip away.
What a great match that was.
That was a fun match. Yeah. All great stuff. Yeah. And then, of course, the women, the juniors, was a great junior event for American juniors, which is so
the first time we could say that in a long time.
Yeah, it is. And it's great because, we've talked a lot in the past year or two about the improvement and increase in opportunities for juniors in the U.S. with the JIC and the BEF and other junior events out there, and the juniors going and playing and some of the pro events and that's their training ground, and it's starting to pay dividends. You see these kids really, really playing well, which is great to get 2 silvers and a bronze for the American juniors in the world championships with the European and Asian monsters that are there that was really good to see. It just shows that, there's been enough talk about this in the past year or two to help these kids get pushed the proper way in the right direction. And it's starting to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout outs to Sophia Mast, silver. I guess we'll start with the ladies because I don't know, why not? She loses in the finals to Jin Yu Hong. We'll also give a shout out, I guess, to Savannah Easton making the quarterfinals. She's got to be. I mean, maybe you know this, Mike. She's got to be like one of the youngest ladies in that field, I would think.
I would assume so. 13, yeah. I mean, she was probably one of the younger ones in there. And then who got the bronze for the girls was another American. Or no, I'm sorry. The bronze was in the boys. The bronze was in the boys under 17. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names for the. I mean, Jolien Sherman, and I got nothing on the other one. I mean, it's Linnea, and then it's
really good pool.
Yeah, HJALMARS Scheilmastrom. I got nothing. I guess I probably should have watched.
Was it 3 Dutch players who were in the high ranks in the other divisions?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we'll go to the under
Yannick
7
Prangers and
under 17 next for the boys. Adrian Prasad, second place, and then you're talking Grayson Vaughn, and it's really a bummer that they had to play each other in the semifinals. It's one of those situations. It'd be nice to have them on opposite sides. So that was I guess the under 17 and then the under 19. Mika van Berkel and Yannick Pongers.
Yeah, he's a beast, Yannick Pongers.
Yeah, they're both going to be great players, I think.
Yeah, good stuff.
Pretty cool. Yep. And then Lil Kachi made the semifinals and I'm pretty sure he made the final 16 of the World 8-Ball too, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be. Maybe 32, but either way, you look at the boys 18 or 19, and you see Prongers and you see Claudio Conchi and you see Rico Rumpinen, you're like, these guys are already picking off names in the big boys games, when they get the opportunity. So these are 3 names you're going to see a lot of in the next 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. So. I guess that kind of closes out all of the world champions that we can name. I guess just as a shout out, Predator did an amazing job with this event.
Great stuff.
They're continuing to make a stride, and I mean, I've been to a lot of Predator events. I've been to a lot of Matchroom events at this point. I still think the TV table for the Predator, the way that they just make it look slick. Almost like it just that LED that goes all the way across. I mean, I just think that looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
The rest of the venue seemed to be really, really nice. It seemed to be set up really nice. The music in the background was kind of driving me crazy, but I guess whatever.
I would have liked to have seen a little bigger crowd in there as far as spectators go, given that it's the second year that they've been to Klagenfurt and they get such buy-in from the local government because of the Oushans there.
Yeah.
But it was really kind of sparse, which was too bad.
Yeah. But they're great events.
Great events. Yeah.
I mean, if this
$400,000 into them,
Yeah, I mean, and Chris and I were talking briefly before the stream, and $75,000 for first place. I mean, there isn't a Matchroom event that has that as a prize purse at all.
Yeah.
For first place, anyways. I mean, that's so. I mean, I think that's a shout out that I think is going to happen too. We're hoping that Matchroom gets there, but as far as prize money, $75,000. I mean that's a pretty big first place.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's great to see it.
So what do they have on the Predator /WPA side? They've got 275, so 75 for the 10 ball, 75 for the 8 ball, and 50 for the China and 50 for Qatar. So
is the 10 ball 75?
Is it not?
It wasn't this year.
Was it not? Okay.
I don't think so.
It's quite odd to make the world 8 ball 75 and the world 10 ball.
I think they were really loading up on these tournaments because they increased the top prize in the women's 10 ball as well from last year to this year. Although a lot of that came from the middle of the payout, whereas the men's prize fund just got a bump.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, good to see. Well,
Yep.
just keep building them up. It's fine with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it says on here the prize fund. Oh, maybe this is for next year though. It's $226,000 prize fund for next year.
Okay.
Yeah, 226. So that would be a little. They had 250 into the 8-ball. So you would think it'd be a little bit less as far as the top payouts.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. So yeah, I guess is there anything else that we wanted to discuss for this?
Nope.
I'm good. Chris, where are you going to be next?
China,
$60,000. $60,000 is what Kachi got last year. Sorry.
60 this year. 60, yeah. Earlier
60,
this year.
Yeah, earlier this year. Yeah, 60,000, which is still more than any Matchroom event, I guess.
Yeah. It must be. Yeah. It's big. It's big.
Anyways, Chris, where are you going to be?
I think China in like 6 weeks.
8-ball.
Yeah. So
Hayball.
Hayball, whatever they're calling it now. Yeah. But not with the Joy people, with the Star Billiards people. So yeah, they are really generous. So
good luck.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to travel when they're being so generous. Put it that way. So yeah, I just need to wait for my China visa, and then we should be all good to go.
Good.
Well, don't wait for the last second.
No, I'm going to England on the 2nd of November because I've got to go to London to get my China visa, which is a pain in the ass, but I've got to do it.
Wait, which day?
2nd of November.
Oh, you should go the 2nd of December.
No, because I'm leaving on the 4th of December.
So perfect. Let's party a couple days.
I might do actually. I might get bored and I might party for 2 days before getting on a 24-hour flight or whatever it is.
I can't think of a better way of handling it.
No, I don't.
I'll see you in London. See you in the red light district. Let's go party.
Is there one in London?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so. I've heard tell.
So where were we before?
Yeah, what's on the agenda, Nate?
Well, let's switch over to, I guess, the Mosconi Cup talk, because obviously Matchroom Matchroom can't cede any ground to marketing to the Predator Billiard or the Pro Billiard Series or the WPA. So, of course, naturally, they're going to have an announcement today for the wildcard picks. Tyler Styer.
I was surprised they didn't do the wildcard picks on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I thought they would have just stepped right onto the finals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to wage war, I mean, you can't argue if they would have did it. I know that.
Yeah. All's fair.
I mean, all's fair in love and war, right?
Yeah. So did Chris and either of those picks surprise you, Chris?
No, I think they make complete sense, really. Well, no. Okay, I got to be honest. I thought we'd see Catchy and Filler. I thought we'd see Catchy and Filler. That's what I thought we'd see. But now Albin's in the mix. I'm not so sure. And with Albin going in, I really don't know what the future looks like for everybody else trying to get in the Mosconi. If he's, are we saying now there's 4 definite picks?
Correct.
There's 4 lock-ins every single year for Europe, and everybody else is just playing for one spot.
Well, assuming that two of those 4
what,
make it.
What are you referring to, Chris?
So if we say that, I'm saying that Albin's a surprising pick. In my mind, given that Catchy and Filler should have been in there, in my opinion. So if every year you're going to have Jason's a lock-in every year, I think we all know that.
Yeah, I think Jason's the only lock.
I don't know.
Because there have been years where they haven't picked Albin.
Yeah, I know. I just think that now going forwards, it just feels like, given that he's not had a year like Catchy, and it feels like Catchy's going to be the one that misses out.
I think you're right on that, and it's a shame. I would have loved to have seen Catchy at least show up in Hanoi and see how he did. But the thing with Hanoi was that Albin made it to the final, and it's how you're playing today. It
what
could
have you
have
done for me lately?
Yeah, I mean, and Ralph Eckert admitted that going into Hanoi, Albin was not on his list at all.
Yeah.
And so, but as much as Albin going out and stealing it, the guys who were ahead of him, who had the chance to make their mark and solidify their spot, all laid eggs. Moritz laid an egg, Mario laid an egg, Alexa laid an egg, and this was their chance to secure their spot. And so I think you kind of look as a coach captain, you kind of look at it that way and say, listen, these guys, if they want me to pick a rookie, these guys got to show up when the heat is on. The heat was on in Hanoi and nobody showed up. Just Albin.
Yeah. I mean, Catchy missed his flight, didn't he? That's what I heard. He missed his flight.
Well, he was on his flight, but his flight got turned back and then got canceled, according to him. I mean, he even posted a photograph from the airport. But
so
from his comments, he had 2 legs to his flight. He made the first one, but the first flight was delayed, and then he didn't make his second flight because the first one was delayed. He didn't have enough time to make his second flight.
Yeah.
Whatever happened out of his control, right?
Yeah, right.
He never. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, those things tend to happen with Kachi, unlike other players. I mean, that is definitely something that you can't control.
But then you add into the equation.
There are a lot of things that happen with Kachi.
You have to add into the equation with Kachi that he's, coming off an injury where he almost lost his arm, right? So, he's not going to be in the same form that he was in March when he was dominating everything. I understand the trepidation in picking him based on his points because they were all earned when he was in top physical shape and playing all the time. So, there's certainly, if I'm a captain, it's certainly something that I'm considering.
It's definitely something to consider, but definitely a bad injury. He can definitely still play, right? He played in the World 8 Ball and he did pretty good.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
So,
quarterfinals.
That to me would have allayed all of my, if I was the captain and I was picking, that would have allayed all of my worries about him being in any physical condition to play. That goes out the window for me. And then he's had 2 big wins and a near miss this year. So he got
right, no doubt. He was the best player first half of the year for sure.
Yeah, it just makes the Mosconi Cup still 6 weeks away or something. Call it 6 weeks. Saying what happened last week in 10 days ago in Hanoi, so call it 2 months away. Just call the final of Hanoi 2 months away from the start of the Mosconi. If you're putting so much on that as who's in form and who's not, your form can go out the window overnight.
Good point.
I don't know how I feel about it all. Although I would like to have seen Catchy.
I would love to have seen him too.
We might still. You never know. We might still.
Yeah. We're talking as if he's there's still one more wild card pick.
There is. And I wanted to ask you what you think the odds are of the German national coach picking Kachi over Filler. just posing that question.
Well, he picked Albin over him.
Maybe
they announced Albin ahead of the 5th pick. I think that they're playing the edge of your seat type of game a little bit with Josh.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe. I mean, either that or we still don't know exactly what Filler's future holds, do we?
No, we don't. And I've speculated a ton on that already. I just think that Matchroom's comes away looking as much as, okay, put yourself in Matchroom's shoes. If Josh indeed becomes the poster child for the WPA and doesn't play your vets next year, how happy are you to give him a $40,000 parting gift?
Not at all.
Probably not real happy. But the other side of it is, how bad do you look if you force that issue and say, it'd be one thing if Josh has already announced that he's playing WPA, but he's not that dumb. He's not saying a word until March. So, so you can't make that assumption because it could come back and bite you in the ass if he doesn't go. It could come back and bite you in the ass if somehow or another WPA and Matchroom settle things between now and March and he could have played the whole time. There's too much risk in looking bad. And they look, Matchroom got called on the carpet last year with the whole Federer David thing. So you don't want to do that every year and maintain people's confidence. So I think that they've got to let Ralph make his own choice this year, and there's not a chance in the world he's not picking his countryman.
I think at the same time, I mean, Josh, I mean, Chris, you kind of mentioned this earlier. What are there 4 locks now? And I'm assuming with your 4 locks, you're talking about FSR, you're talking about Jason, Josh, and Albin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah.
So I mean, if you're going to talk about him as being a lock because he's earned it and he plays so good under those conditions and all of that, yeah, I mean, sure, I'm not going to argue with that. But has he done enough this year to be a lock?
No, I wouldn't say. You know,
I mean, I think if you picked Kachi over him, I don't think you're in the wrong. I don't think if you pick Max or Mario,
yeah,
I think that's probably where the list ends. It would be understandable.
Yeah.
I think it's the wrong pick, and I think most players would say it's the wrong pick. But you know, there are at least 3 players I think that you could pick over Josh.
And then, but then you've also got into the equation the fact that if you take Mario and Max and Albin and Alexa and Josh
Moritz
and say, okay, which of these 5 guys is in your top 3 players in the world? What's your answer? I mean, he's still one of the top 3 players in the world, hands down, maybe the best. But that's always kind of a discussion. So I'll just always say top 3 player in the world. You don't say no to that. You don't, unless he's had an absolutely horrible year.
Yeah.
Which by his standards he probably has, but still enough to be in that top 10 European rankings.
The only thing that I'm referring to mostly is not based off of quality. It's based off of Matchroom having plausible deniability if he isn't picked, and saying we're not giving you a $40,000 parting gift. I guess is really my broad point. I mean,
but Matchroom would never say it was their decision, and now you're asking Ralph Eckert to fall on that sword.
Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is if Josh wasn't picked, there's enough plausible deniability from Matchroom and Ralph Eckert that says, I believe that Max had a better season, or Mario had a better season, or Eklund had a better season, and we still think that he hasn't because of how he performed at the World 8 Ball. I think that there's enough plausible deniability that Josh isn't like this dead lock that he has to be picked, or there's shenanigans going on.
Well, you know, you're basing his a lot of his ranking and does he deserve a spot on purely World 9 Ball Tour rankings. Okay.
Yep.
Meanwhile, he went out and won China. He went out and won Qatar.
Yep.
You know, so he's still pretty much Josh. he's pretty much still Josh.
Of course, but you know, we're talking about like intangibles then, and you know, the people that the popular opinion is are the best players in the world, and are they just going to be the locks every time? We're kind of back.
But they're not the locks every time unless because as long as there's only 2, you named 4 people who are locks.
2 out of 3 have to
There's only 2 wild card picks.
It's solidified over the last few years, though. You can see that core of the team solidifying, getting a little bit.
But you can't have 4 unless at least 2 of them earned it with points.
But what I'm saying is, I believe that Jason will be picked every single year. So there's, you know,
him. I believe the other ones I don't. I don't think Francisco's a lock for anything. I think if Francisco gets beat on points next year by 3 guys, he would have a tough time making the team.
I think the only 2 players coming into this year that I would agree are locks, no matter what, guaranteed 100% of the time, is Josh and Jason.
I don't think Josh is a lock, but
I mean, but I think if in March of this year, or March of this year, before anything else happened, I mean, I think that I would consider Josh a lock every year. The way he plays out there, the way that he has Shane's number. I mean, Shane basically hasn't beat him in singles out there for like maybe ever. I mean, he just destroys American players.
Yeah,
well, Sky's beating him.
Yeah, well, short of Sky, yeah. Sky is the one that seems to be able to beat everyone. but especially Josh.
It's it's going to be horrible for Kachi. That's what I think is going to come out of this. It's going to be horrible for him. And I hope it's not. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think it's going to be.
I'll tell you
horrible.
what, one of the guys I feel worse for is Mario He.
Albin
came out and stole his spot again. Albin just took his best friend and countryman and stomped on his hopes again.
Every year he's number 6. I mean, he's literally probably been number 6 the last 5 years.
But did Albin or Mario win a tournament on the tour this year?
I don't know that Mario's ever won one ever. Besides,
Mario's never won one. Mario's never won one. Albin, no. But Albin's credentials still go a lot further than Mario's.
Yeah. So but there's going to have been 4. Yeah, I mean, Franz won one this year. Jason's won one. Alcade won the Euros.
Yeah.
So and Kachi's the only other European that's won one.
The only other winner. Yeah. Europeans.
And these tournaments are so hard to win. If winning one of these majors and you have a horror show of a year like he's had with injury, if winning one of those majors doesn't, if that isn't enough
to solidify your spot.
David won one too.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Which one? Which one did you say?
The
European Open.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
So
I thought you meant like the European Championships. I'm sorry. Yeah.
The European Open. Sorry.
Well, he also won the one in Scotland.
I know, but I'm on about
it's
major type level, tournaments,
yep.
right? So, but if Kachi can win one, and also you have to stick on his side, get into the final of the Masters. Forget the World 10 ball because we can't include that. Just like we can't include Qatar and China and the other bits and pieces. But it's just it's so nasty, so horrible. Just feel for him.
Yeah.
I mean, are there any other events? I don't know when the second or the last wild card is being picked, but it's usually like right after the International Open.
Tomorrow.
Yes, the International Open again. I just don't understand why the international. I mean, do you think that the International Open will ever change its dates?
Well, there was
trying to become more relevant.
There was a lot of confusion around it last year, before or after, and Mike seemed to be the only person who actually knew what the deal was. But just doing it way before that starts, just do it, and there's no confusion this time.
They're announcing it tomorrow, so they're announcing it before the tournament in Roanoke starts, much less international.
Yeah.
And so international this year supposedly counts for next year, but supposedly it did that last year too. And the way they talked her out of it, they talked themselves out of it by saying, it was because Jeremy didn't make his pick till after that. It was kind of almost included, and I think that they just kind of messed up not including it, and that's why I knew that Jason was a stone cold lock this year for Team Europe, because he won the international last year, didn't get the points, and never complained about it. So the deal had been made.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I guess over to the U.S. So I guess we've talked about that quite a bit. Who is your pick for number 5, Chris, for Europe?
For the U.S.
For Europe.
Oh, for Europe.
We just got done talking about Europe, so. You
want to talk about US, yeah?
After, yeah.
After you tell them who your 5th pick for Europe is.
Kachi. I can't say anything after that. I've got to say Kachi.
Mike?
Filler.
Yeah, I got to go with filler too. I mean, if it's not filler, there's got to be a reason for it, and I think that's going to be more telling than anything else.
It's going to be filler, isn't it?
On top of filler, I mean, he's a better team guy too. So
I don't think we know that yet, do we? It's a bit harsh.
Well, I mean,
Kachi has had the reputation of being kind of.
He's had the reputation of being kind of standoff.
Still a young guy, though, right? But it takes people a bit of time to get used to the team environment.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, I will too, but we know that one's going to gel well, and we know that one might eventually gel well. I mean, Filler's a better team guy. It doesn't mean that Kachi will forever be that way, but as of right now, Filler's you know that Filler works on the team well. The last time Eklund was on the team, arguments that he wasn't the best team guy. That's whatever. All right, so let's switch over to the U.S. side. Tyler Styer was announced for the U.S. In my mind, this was a pretty obvious choice. I thought that the top 4 for the U.S. now that Federer's there is a guaranteed lock. I just always thought that Tyler was a lock for the team, given the other options. As long as he's playing a schedule and out there at all the events. Any surprise for you, Mike?
Just a little bit, and it was just a personal preference, a hope thing. I mean, I assumed Tyler was going to be one of the 2 wildcard picks, and it's a smart pick. I was hoping that they were going to name Shane Wolford with the first wildcard pick based on his being the next up into points. Just from the standpoint that had it not been for the switch with Federer, he would have earned an automatic spot, right? And so I just thought it would have been a cool, righteous thing to do to say, you earned it. You're my first wildcard pick because you were really next in line on the points thing, and everybody got kind of submarined on the whole Federer thing. But we're not going to take that spot away from you. I just thought that would have been a cool way to do it.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully it does pan out that way as well. Hopefully he does get the.
I've got a theory on that too.
Oh, do you? Go for it.
I don't know. Jeremy Jones and everybody just rolled into Shane Wolford's family pool room in Roanoke, Virginia for the next World 9-Ball Tour rankings. And if you think Jeremy's going to roll in there and pick BJ Ussery in front of Shane Wolford's dad and live to talk about it, I'm not buying it.
I don't know why this is, right? But why is Oscar not being talked about? Why is he not highlighted on?
Oh, he is. I think that he's the other choice if you don't pick Shane Wolford. I think that Oscar's the obvious choice.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that at all.
If you want to win, I think you got to take
that. I don't agree with. I think Billy's better. I'd pick Billy.
Why?
He's higher on the money list. He's playing better pool right now. Billy's making the final 32 of these events, the final 64 of these events. Oscar isn't.
Oscar played in 2 of them, and he's finished higher in both of them. He played the last 2. He didn't play the entire year. Came out, played the last 2, finished higher than Billy in both of them.
Which one? Which ones?
Hanoi and U.S. Open.
Did he place higher than us? I know Billy made the final 64. Did Oscar make the final 32?
Here we go. Hold the phone. Hold the phone.
I mean, Billy made the final 32 of the Hanoi Open. He lost his round of 64. He made the final 64. He lost his round of 64.
U.S. Open, Billy Thorpe, 1750.
This is riveting podcast.
No, Oscar finished higher at the U.S. Open, and Oscar finished higher than him at the Hanoi Open.
Okay, so 1 spot each?
No. Billy died in Hanoi. I don't know what the placement is. Oscar won 2,000. Billy won 500. At the U.S. Open, Oscar won 3,000. Billy won 1,750. So at least 1, if not 2, spots ahead in both tournaments.
Okay. I think. Well, I mean, Billy's been there. I mean, he's been at a lot of these events, and he's been making the final 32 or the final 64, I should say.
Yeah. Billy's not a terrible choice, and he's been there, and he's actually probably performed better in Mosconi than Oscar has. Or he definitely has.
He's made the effort. I mean, he's. I mean, if there's one thing that Jeremy supposedly takes into account is, are you actually going, right? Are you actually playing all the events? I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I think both Oscar and Billy would be better options. With that being said, we got to break Shane in at some point in time because Shane is the future. I mean, he's continuously playing and he's getting better and better and better. And when are we going to get him involved? It's going to have to be at some point in time. But I mean, if all things are considered equal, I think Billy Thorpe is the best option personally.
Well, listen, I don't think there'll be. You talked about being able to justify it or rationalize it. You could do it with any 3 of those guys, not get a lot of pushback from a lot of people. I'm just saying who I think. You're saying who you think, Chris. Who do you think?
Who would I pick?
Yeah,
well, I mean, Oscar definitely. If they want to win, I think Oscar's the pick. I think I think he's the guy to do it.
So I picked Shane. You picked Billy, and Chris picked Oscar. So what do we got? 50 apiece riding on this, or what?
No, I think you're right with what you said before, with them turning up to his place.
Yeah, mine had absolutely zero to do with points or placement. Well, no, it did have to do with points because he was the highest ranked point guy. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think given the addition, the late addition to the U.S. with Fedor, I don't think that you're wrong. I think that Shane will be picked. I'm just saying I think that Billy, if we're putting together our best 5 players, I just feel like Billy is in the mix. He's playing more, and he's not making a bunch of deep runs, but he's getting there at least.
The best 5 playing. The best 5 excluding Deshane, right? Because he'd be on there.
Bergman. I mean Bergman before Deshane, I think.
I don't know. So close.
Well, Deshane from 2016 is so close. We haven't seen Deshane actually play for
3-4 years.
Longer than that. When was the last
I
time
hope he comes back in place. I know he's like people aren't like massive.
Well, where's he going to play?
I don't know, and I don't care. I just hope he comes back.
He's banned from Predator events, and he's banned from Matchroom events.
How's he banned? Why is he banned from Matchroom events?
He does a lot of dumb things.
Huh?
Yeah, he does a lot of dumb things.
I'd love to see him play again, just because he pisses so many people off.
He's a lightning rod.
Yeah.
Well, Andy Downs, sure. I mean, I guess if we want to go to Asia and start picking out Asian players, we can start getting players that can actually win. But we had to pick what we have here. It's not like the Americans are really winning a lot of events outside of Shane, and I guess. Well, that's it. That's the list. Fedor, I guess now, but none of the Americans win. Okay, he's welcome.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I don't think there's ever been an official ban on somebody, but
yeah,
if he's welcome, Carl, have him in the pundits.
Yeah, get him in the booth with you. You two can tell road stories. It'd be fun. So I don't know. I guess who's you're picking, Oscar, Chris?
If I was the captain, I would pick Oscar, but I think Mike's right. I think that's who'll get picked.
Yeah, I mean the way that you put that, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, Mike?
Well, I mean, I would hope that he wouldn't pick him just because his dad's in the audience, but there's got to be more to it than that. But I just think that it sets up. I mean, if you weren't going to pick him, I don't know. I think I would have put in both picks on Monday before you got to Roanoke.
It's not the worst idea, is it? Well, either that or he's got to pull Shane aside and just say I am going to be here at this event.
Yeah. You got to take it. You got to take it like a champ.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not picking you. I mean, he's. Yeah. You would hope that Shane and Jeremy, I would assume, are quite close. He's got to have enough respect for Shane to sit him down and let him know well in advance before he gets there.
Freaking boys with his Seniors Euro Tour. Speaking of the Seniors Euro Tour event, Telfer, why weren't you in the Seniors Euro Tour?
I think he is. I think Carl's on about the one that's next week that Jim's playing in. The baby
Didn't
ball.
They just do the Senior Championships in the Europeans?
I think it's 8 ball. I think it's English 8 ball he's talking about. I don't know if he's taking the piss out of him or what. I'm not sure. No, what's he on about? He says no. I don't know what he's talking about.
No, he's been drinking. So
Senior Euros is on now.
No, it ended, didn't it?
By senior, does he? I think he's talking about old people. I'm not playing senior. I'm playing men's A. Oh, right.
We need to just avoid these guys in here.
So. Oh no, he's saying no. I think Carl is saying there's a Senior Euros.
Euros. I think it's over. I think it ended already.
Oh right.
Why are we even giving this any sort of light?
I don't know.
It's like playing
just to entertain Carl.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I think so. No, can't see jack shit about that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there you go.
So if you take what we think will be the starting fives, although we both have different starting fives, is Europe favored and how heavily?
Yeah, I think they're still going to smash them.
Yeah. Smash
no
them?
day four. No day four. That's what I'm saying. No day four.
Seriously?
Yep.
You're
No day four.
No day four.
I think they're going to fall. I think they're going to fall apart.
I'll take the over on 3 days.
Yeah, I'll take a day four. We can definitely go on the record for that one.
No, I mean, I think Europe needs to be small favorites, but we're not talking like 2-1 favorites at this point.
I did check the other day. The bookies haven't put the prices out yet.
I mean, if I had to set the line, I'd say Europe minus like 130, something like that, 140.
And a money line?
1.5 to 1, something like that.
Do you guys not know how to use? I don't get the odds that you use over there. The rest of the world uses fractions. I don't know what you're using.
Fractions? How medieval?
We only use the metric system when it's
you got about 130 to win 100.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or you bet 100 to win 130. You know, whatever.
Minus the juice.
You bet the US. You know, something like that.
The juice.
That's the money line.
Yeah, I think I don't think. There's some people that are still taking the U.S. getting 2-1 on their money. I think that's just freaking crazy. And then there's people that are taking the U.S. straight up, and I mean, I think that's less crazy, but I still think it's wrong. I think the number is somewhere in the 1.4 to 1.6, something like that. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. I don't know how to bet.
I don't know how to bet.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're putting out, I think the U.S.'s top
numbers don't work for me.
I mean, the U.S. top 3 might be better than the U.S. top or the Europe top 3.
Sorry.
The U.S.'s top 3 might be better than Europe's top 3 at this point.
If you're going by the points, if you take the 5-man team and include filler in there, the top 3 are not Francisco, David, and Jason.
Sure.
So you're comparing 2 different top 3s. If you get the final 5 team out there and you say, here's our number 1, 2, and 3, you'd probably have Josh, Jason, Fran. Okay.
And
Josh, Jason, Fran, even up with Sky, Shane, Feder.
Yeah.
I mean, I give a slight edge to Europe, but I mean, it's very slight.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty even, you know, but then when you get to 4 and 5, then they're ahead of us again.
Yeah.
Right?
So
if you're looking
David,
at the full complement of the team.
David and Tyler. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna obviously push it a little bit towards David there, and then the 5th is, you know, it kind of depends on who we pick for a 5th.
Well, whoever it is against Albin.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be the favorite in that either. So yeah.
Well, there's a big difference between Shane Wolford, I think. Although he's unproven. Yeah, I mean, he could end up being a great player on that stage, but he's unproven. And Oscar or Billy.
Yeah.
Andy Downs is saying you bet 100 to win 250 on the U.S. So they have Europe as a 2.5 favorite.
Oh, I'll jump on the U.S. for that.
Yeah, that seems. Well, Chris doesn't think we're making it to day 4, so I mean he probably thinks he's taking Europe there.
No day 4. It's gonna be a bloodbath. I think I'm with Jim. Some of the circus that's gone around Team USA, I don't think that's going to help. I think that it could either work really well or it could be a disaster. I don't think there's anything in the middle.
I don't know what all this, all this drama with Team USA is.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Oh, maybe the European guy playing for you? Maybe I don't know.
So
why is that like turning USA upside down as a team?
I'm saying it has. I'm just saying it may work great or it may work bad. You just never know.
Well, there's only 2 sides to that. You're really going out on the limb there, saying it may be good or it may be bad. Well,
that's
we got to have you on more shows.
That's as deep as I'm going into it.
I mean, it's the same thing as saying, European players, more pressure on them or American players playing in front of 2,500 fans who expect you to win every game and make every ball.
Do you think the crowd's going to be West this year?
Going to be what?
Do you think the crowd is going to be more boisterous this year? Do you think it's going to be West?
I think it'll be huge, and I think it'll be noisy. And I think in some instances it can put more pressure on the European player than it can on the American player, because the European player is expected to win 5-0, and they're expected to win in 3 days. And if they don't, everybody's going to start leaning on them. So you can play that game too. So you just never know till you get in there and see what happens.
I think what we established is Chris has no idea what he's talking about.
Maybe
I should put it this way.
As an odds maker, he's like, well, they're either going to play well or they're going to play poorly. Well,
maybe I should put it this way. Either Chris has no idea what he's talking about, or Chris knows what he's talking about. It's one of the two. I won't say anything more.
Yeah, in 6 weeks' time, and you can both apologize to me. I've got no problem.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't know. We'll know tomorrow what the last picks are, and I guess we'll be able to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit more intelligently, maybe. Fader gonna cry, Jim. See, this is the problem. Is
the same thing Jim went through last year. Trying way too hard for something that's not going to happen. Last year he was talking about everybody coming in with their chips and crisps and making noise, and Jason hiring some drummer off the street to come in. It was absolutely the most embarrassing thing that's ever been done. Didn't have any impact on the play. And the European crowd can get crazy, and Federer may miss a shot here or there, but listen, he's not going to go, Alex Kazakis on this. Just my thought.
We'll see what kind of Shane we get.
I really feel bad about dragging Alex Kazakis into that conversation. He hasn't done anything wrong, but anyways, it seemed like a perfect analogy.
I still love you, Kaza Boo Boo. Don't listen to Mike. He's just a hater. All right, I think that's a good place probably to close it out for the day. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Captain Panozzo. I'm done. I got to turn in. I can't take any more posts from Boys or Telfer.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, I'm going to give a shout out to our amazing sponsors that to make this work. Jacoby Custom Cues, big sponsor, always helping out the sport. Love it. Insight Performance Coaching, Billiards Digest, Mike Panozzo right there. Everybody go get yourself a
sign up today.
Salado, Digital Pool, Onboard Sportswear, Horo Tips, and we saw Michael Littman in the comments. We're going to have him on as a sponsor very soon. So shout out to Littman Lights, the best lights out there on the market today. We love them, and so will you. All right, let's close it up for this week. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, Chris, good luck in China.
Cheers. I'll see you before then.
Yep. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week.